So the Dallas Wings have announced right here. The Dallas Wings made franchise and WNBA attendance history with a pair of games at AA Center in downtown Dallas last season. Am I not mistaken to say that the Fever games were the ones that broke the record? It says here the 3 games Dallas will host, or is it supposed to just Fever? The 3 games Dallas will host.
The Dallas Wings' recent announcement has nothing to do with basketball strategy, yet it may be one of the most revealing moves of the entire WNBA offseason. By scheduling 3 home games during the 2025 season at the American Airlines Center, a venue that seats over 19,000 fans, Dallas is making a clear statement about where the league's economic gravity now lives. These games against Chicago, Golden State, and most notably Indiana are not random selections. They represent a deliberate business decision built around one undeniable reality. When Caitlin Clark comes to town, demand exceeds the limits of a standard WNBA arena. Last season provided the proof. The Wings played most of their home schedule in their regular venue with predictable, mid-tier attendance. Then Indiana arrived. That single game shattered franchise attendance records and generated more revenue than several home games combined. It had nothing to do with Dallas improving on the court or unveiling a new star. It was one visiting player. That data changed everything. Front offices do not ignore results like that. They restructure around them. Dallas understood that Fever games are not interchangeable with the rest of the schedule, and treating them as ordinary inventory leaves significant money on the table. The 2025 schedule structure only amplifies this reality. With 15 teams in the league, Indiana plays 44 games, but most teams will face the Fever just once at home. That creates scarcity. When a franchise knows it has only one opportunity all season to capture Caitlin Clark-driven demand, that game instantly becomes a premium event. Teams can no longer spread that value across season ticket packages. They must maximize it in a single night. That means larger venues, higher prices, and aggressive marketing. Dallas, moving first, simply acknowledges what others are about to follow. Atlanta provides the clearest example. Indiana travels there twice next season, and the Dream share space with the Hawks. Those Fever games are almost guaranteed to be moved to State Farm Arena. This isn't speculation, it's economics. The same logic applies in Phoenix, Seattle, Golden State, and Connecticut, where Indiana visits only once. For those markets, the Caitlin Clark Tour is a one-stop event, and franchises will treat it accordingly. Minnesota already showed the league how to do this. Last season, they excluded Fever games from half-season ticket packages and sold them separately at premium prices. Fans who wanted to see Clark paid extra. In 2025, Indiana returns to Minnesota twice, and both games will receive full Target Center treatment, including the Upper Bowl and elevated pricing. This is no longer experimentation. It is a blueprint. What the league is quietly transitioning into is an event-based economic model. Some games remain standard. Others become must-see spectacles. The difference is not the standings or the rivalry. It's Caitlin Clark. The Wings announcement isn't just a scheduling note. It's an admission that the WNBA's financial landscape has shifted permanently, and every franchise is now adjusting to that new reality.
We only played at Wings once in Dallas. Like, they would play, both games would be at the would be in a big arena. The reality is that the Sky are probably going to move their they played them twice in Chicago. So I'm just trying to think. There's 44 games, and I think you play every team 3 times. So there's going to be 15 teams next year. So that's 42.
This shift fundamentally transforms how WNBA franchises think about their economics. Last season, Fever games could be absorbed into normal pricing models. This season, they can't. When Clark visits once, that game becomes closer to a concert or playoff event than a standard regular season contest. Teams aren't just selling tickets. They're selling an experience tied to a cultural moment. That's why venue upgrades are inevitable. Smaller arenas cap revenue potential. Larger buildings unlock Upper Bowls, sponsorship opportunities, and broader media visibility. From Indiana's perspective, this also reshapes the road environment. Clark won't be walking into quiet gyms anymore. She'll be stepping into NBA-sized arenas with crowds that skew heavily toward casual fans and first-time attendees. That changes atmosphere, pressure, and perception. For the league, this creates a 2-tier product without officially admitting it. Some games are normal, some are premium, and the dividing line is increasingly clear. Minnesota already showed everyone how this works. Last season, they offered half-season ticket packages that specifically excluded Fever games. Those games were sold separately at premium prices. Fans who wanted to see Caitlin Clark paid extra. That wasn't an accident. It was intentional segmentation. In 2025, the Fever visit Minnesota twice again. Target Center has an Upper Bowl that can be opened selectively, and both games will use it. More seats, higher prices, greater demand. This is no longer experimentation. It's a template. What Dallas did, Minnesota perfected, and the rest of the league is about to adopt. The WNBA is quietly transitioning into an event-based revenue model centered around one player's gravity. The sooner teams acknowledge that reality, the more money they make. And make no mistake, this isn't temporary. This is the new economic structure of the league.
Game. Then they have 4 home, like they have 5 home games in their first 6. Like that is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. Like you've got this right here, and then Golden State. So do they have any like a big? They obviously have this game between the 5th and the 12th of July, right before their long trip west.
The 2025 WNBA schedule structure adds another layer to this strategy. With 15 teams in the league, the Indiana Fever will play 44 games. Most opponents will face Indiana 3 times, either twice at home and once away, or the reverse. Only 2 teams play them 4 times, and Atlanta is one of them. That detail matters. Indiana travels to Atlanta twice next season, and Atlanta's arena situation makes the outcome almost inevitable. The Dream shares space with the Hawks, meaning they already rotate between venues depending on availability. When Caitlin Clark comes to town not once, but twice, those games are moving to State Farm Arena. That's not speculation. It's financial logic. Now zoom out. For most WNBA cities, the Fever are coming exactly once. Phoenix gets 1 game. Seattle gets 1. Golden State gets 1. Connecticut gets 1. That single visit becomes the only chance those markets have to capture Clark-driven demand. When teams had multiple Fever home games last season, they could distribute that value across season ticket packages. This year, they can't. 1 game means 1 opportunity. That scarcity forces teams to maximize that night aggressively. Bigger arenas, premium pricing, expanded marketing. The Caitlin Clark Tour is no longer spread out. It's concentrated. That concentration changes everything. 1 game now has to carry the revenue weight of what used to be 2 or 3. Front offices aren't sentimental. They're pragmatic. And pragmatism points to one conclusion: maximize capacity and price accordingly.
The Dream, they play the Dream twice away. So the Dream absolutely... Oh, they played the Dream 4 times. That's one of the teams that play 4 times. So they play the Dream twice away, and the Dream will absolutely be a team that at least one of them is going to be in the big arena due to quote-unquote scheduling conflicts. So the Mystics obviously are going to do it. Vegas might put them in a big arena for at least one of those games. Like, it's 2 in a week. At least one of them they're going to be in.
The Dallas Wings just made one of the most revealing moves of the entire WNBA offseason, and it has nothing to do with roster upgrades, draft strategy, or basketball tactics. They announced that 3 of their 2025 home games will be moved to the American Airlines Center, the NBA arena shared with the Dallas Mavericks, a building capable of holding more than 19,000 fans. On the surface, this might look like a simple attempt to increase attendance. In reality, it's a calculated business decision that exposes how the league plans to monetize one specific phenomenon next season: Caitlin Clark. These games weren't chosen randomly. One matchup is against Chicago, another against Golden State, and the most important one is against Indiana on August 20th. That last game is the key. Dallas is effectively admitting that when the Fever come to town, the demand no longer fits inside a typical WNBA arena. This is not optimism. It's evidence-based planning. The Wings aren't experimenting. They're responding to real financial data from last season that showed exactly what happens when Clark appears on the schedule. This decision marks a shift in how WNBA teams think about their product. Historically, moving games to larger venues was reserved for special occasions, rivalry games, or playoff pushes. Now the determining factor is whether Caitlin Clark is involved. That alone tells you how the league's internal calculus has changed. The value proposition isn't balanced anymore. Certain games are normal inventory. Others are premium events. What Dallas is doing is setting a precedent. By announcing these moves early, they're signaling to the rest of the league that the Fever games are different. They're also conditioning fans to expect higher prices, larger crowds, and a more eventized atmosphere when Indiana is involved. This isn't about competitive balance. It's about revenue maximization. The most important part is that this strategy acknowledges reality rather than pretending parity exists at the gate. Not every team drives the same interest. Not every player creates the same demand. Dallas is embracing that truth openly, and once one franchise does it successfully, others will follow. This is the first domino, not the last.
You're going to be able to see the Indiana Fever, and that's one of those good things, is that even though they will get close to or sell out these big venues, it's not like it's going to be anything like crazy like it used to be. So if you want to see Indiana, you can go see Indiana, which is genuinely a positive thing for the vast majority of fans. But obviously, Dallas already being the first team to announce it, that they had to do it checks out. And this is just my personal opinion. I'm going to talk about this in our video, but yeah, Dallas aren't trading for injuries.
To understand why the Dallas Wings are making this move, you have to go back to what actually happened last season. For most of the year, Dallas operated like a typical mid-tier WNBA franchise. Attendance was solid, but unremarkable. Nothing disastrous, nothing extraordinary. Then Indiana came to town. That single game shattered franchise attendance records. Not because Dallas suddenly became a contender. Not because a homegrown star emerged. It happened because Caitlin Clark was in the building. One visiting player turned an ordinary home date into the most lucrative night the franchise had experienced. That one game outperformed multiple standard home games combined in terms of ticket sales, merchandise, concessions, and media attention. Front offices don't ignore results like that. They adjust. Dallas looked at the numbers and realized something simple but powerful. Fever games are not interchangeable with other games. Treating them the same way leaves money on the table. That realization explains why Dallas was the first team to publicly confirm venue upgrades for 2025. This wasn't a marketing gamble. It was a revenue response. The Wings saw proof that Clark's presence creates a different category of demand, and they decided to restructure their schedule around it. Instead of squeezing overflow demand into a smaller building, they're expanding capacity and pricing accordingly. More importantly, Dallas understands they won't be alone. Every franchise that hosts Indiana now has historical data proving that Fever games function as premium inventory. That knowledge fundamentally alters how teams think about their home slates. Instead of spreading value evenly across the season, teams will isolate Clark games and extract maximum revenue from them. This is why Dallas moved first. Early movers get the advantage. Better dates, cleaner logistics, and more control over pricing narratives. Others will follow, but Dallas gets to frame the conversation. They're not reacting late. They are leading.